So here's our fruit patch. 3 rows of raspberries over there, half a dozen pears, 3 cherries, a dozen or so peaches in the distance, 25 fig trees in the distance where those white stakes are, 2 rows of different types of raspberries, 1 red, 1 golden, 2 rows of blackberries, 2 more rows of mature figs, and a row of kiwis. So the challenge has always been watering, and in the past, up to last year, we had to bring, well, not we, my wife had to bring a hose down from the house in order to hand water. So this year it's different. So this year I have tied into the main water line that goes up the driveway. I've given us 2 frost-free hydrants that stay connected all the time. One is for power washing the equipment. So the irrigation system starts here. So this water spigot is on all the time. We actually turn it off when it's not on watering days in case of it blowing a leak and us not noticing. But it could be on all the time. Pressure reducing valve, I set it at about 55. We have 80 pounds of water, which is just too much. So the drip system starts with Drip Depot's equipment. This is what they call a main line. It's 1/2-inch poly that separates off to 1/4-inch poly and to the drippers that are right here at the plant. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of those, and I'll show you what those things are in a minute. So we run above ground the 1/2-inch where it cannot get mowed because it's quicker and easier, and these are established plants, so we don't want to damage the roots. So perfectly okay above ground. Where it joins the spigot, the main water supply is underground. So I've got 3/4 as the main line teeing off to 1/2-inch pegs that comes up to the spigot, and then various connectors just so I can keep this neat and tidy, and a timer that's sitting here in the system. So that valve stays on all the time. The main frost-free hydrant stays on all the time, and the timer, of course, turns the water on and off. So one thing you got to be wary of is that you've only got a 3/4-inch line coming into the system, and when you exceed that with too many drippers, the pressure will drop to 0 and you won't get your full flow. So the drippers that we use are 1 gallon an hour, which is a lot. It's so that we can have the water on just for half an hour, which gives us 1/2 gallon per plant, or 1/2 gallon per dripper, and some plants, particularly these big ones, have 2. So there's 1 there either side. Again, there's a timer at the beginning of each row. 1 or 2 of these are doubled up, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So all of these are on, the timers are set, and in this case it is 9:44 in the morning. They're actually set to come on for half an hour, and they're set to come on at 10 a.m. So these 3 will come on at 10, go off at 10:30. I'll set the next 2, because they're a lot of drippers, at 10:30 to 11. I'll set the next 2 for 11:30 to 12. I've got more then to do around here. So that will keep us down to 4 or 5 hours worth of the water being turned on at a rate of about 100 gallons an hour, but we'll only do it for half an hour. So we'll be putting 50 gallons on, which is a lot of water. We'll do it once a week. And all of these have been done Haven't put the timers on yet for these, but I've got the timers on over there for the first 3, so I'm going around putting the timers on. This is a row that has not yet been done. I ran out of main line, so trench with the ditch witch to bury the main line here because I mow close to the trees, and then tee off from that with a 1/4 inch line to the base of each tee, just an inch or 2 underground. This does not have to be frost depth because we drain the system each year. So since there are only 10 trees here, which is not a lot of gallons, this first row will branch off at the end to accommodate these trees as well, and I have not yet finished that. The end of the system is down here at the figs. So the 3/4 line services everything that then tees off to half, because you can get 2 halves out of a 3/4. That's funny, but you can. 3/4 as a flow rate pipe diameter is twice that of halves. You can get a little bit more than 2 halves, to be honest, but you get about the flow rate of 2. So there'll be 3 turned on at the top, and if the drippers allow that much flow, then that's why only 3 come on at a time, so you don't drop to 0 pressure. That 3/4 line ends there at that last row. We haven't dripped the peaches because they're very well established now. They are only 4 years old and are loaded with fruit. The 1/2 inch line then comes down underground to here, and this is the last spigot where there's a 1/2 inch buried line that does a loop around these figs. There are only 25 figs here, so this would be okay for 1 timer for the entire loop. And at each plant we have the 1/4 inch line coming out of the ground with its dripper. The drippers that do 1 gallon an hour are not exactly drippers. You get a constant stream, small, but a constant stream from each. Because this is the last loop, there's also a valve to open it in the wintertime to drain down the entire system. And it doesn't completely drain, but the drippers will drain the black line, and that is at the lowest point, which will drain everything probably up to about where my foot is. And yes, we will have water standing in that last little bit. But PEX is good. PEX can freeze. As long as the valve is open, PEX will freeze and the water will evaporate. If we turn it off when everything's gone dormant in November or something like that, then the water that's in that line will disappear on its own and will be dry. So that's the entire system. The drip depot is the company we buy it from. Everything is extremely cheap. It's amazing. And it works really well, and it's quick and easy to put in. But you do have to have a little bit of a plan as to what you're going to do, else you're constantly ordering things. That's an end. But also when you take that cap off, it's a male. This is a female, of course, for starting the system at the faucet. That goes into the 1/4 inch line and then stabs into the side of the 1/2 inch line, or it's just a 1/4 inch connector. This is the tool for doing the stabbing. You put it over the top of the 1/2 inch line and just press it. And then once you've made the hole, fairly quickly shove that in that's got the 1/4 inch line on it. The drippers look like this, and they're different based on the flow rate. They of course go on the other end of the little 1/4 inch line. You need different size 1/4 inch lines, so I don't pre-assemble them. I did them as we required it, bush by bush, which wasn't as fast. I also strongly recommend a pair of needle nose pliers to hold these little things when you're pressing them in, and hold them in between there, because it makes it so much easier to grip, and you can reach around the 1/2 inch line and grab both sides and press with your thumb, and they pop on. If you don't use a pair of pliers and you hold them in your fingers, I did probably about 300 and my fingers were numb for days. So I strongly recommend a pair of pliers if you're doing 1,000 like I have. So I've got 300 left. I've probably got about 200 to put in the ground, so I'm one bag too many. But from a 1/2 inch mainline perspective, we bought 1,000 feet initially thinking it was plenty. I've just ordered another 300. From a 1/4 inch hose perspective, I figured each one would be 6 inches or so. I bought 500 feet thinking it was plenty. I've just ordered, I then ordered another 300, and I've just ordered my second 300. So 1,000 feet of 1/4 inch line, and 1,500 feet of 1/2 inch line, and 1,000 drippers and 1,000 connectors for a garden of this size. But anyway, works great, very happy with it, hence the video. It's taken me about 30 minutes to set up each one, so obviously 10 minutes each. And since I started at 9:30, it is now 10 a.m. and they've kicked on and they're flowing. So if I can find one, I can show you the nice gentle flow that comes out of them. So you can see that one there on that leaf. There's another one. So although they're called drip feeders, these that deliver quite a bit of water don't exactly drip, they flow. And even if they're slightly buried by something, they still flow. So it doesn't hurt to have them slightly in the ground. It's probably better if they're not, but you get good flow. So all 3 of these should be on. Let's find one that I can see easily. There's got to be one on this side. They all tuck over on the other side. The fig trees get 2 per tree, that's why there's one on both sides. So here we go, here's one that's there, that's flowing nicely. So there are probably 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26 fig trees with 2 drippers each, so that's 50. No, it's not, and please don't correct me, but 2 times 26 in my mind is 50. The figs, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 25. So I'd say 75 drippers, all running at 1 gallon per hour, has dropped the pressure from 55 to 40. So we've still got good pressure to deliver water, and I could run perhaps one more row without dropping it too far, but I don't think there's a need for that. I think running it at 40 psi gives a nice flow. So I'm going to get on with the next 3 before the time comes and it starts squirting me. Great system, could not say more about it. Wonderful system. The timers are $30 a piece. You can get cheaper timers, but these are the cheapest we can get that are electronic and allow to be just left alone. Set the clock, set the time, set the start time, set the duration, leave it forever. So we could have all of these valves on at the same time, rely on the timers, and leave the spigot open, the hydrant open, all the time, and it would deliver water only when we want it to, which would be once a week for half an hour. We don't want that though, because we'd rather turn the main hydrant off just in case of a burst or a rodent chewing through something, and to give us a chance to catch that before we use thousands of gallons overnight. We'll turn it on in the morning, turn it off at night, only on watering days. And if it rains, of course, we won't turn it on. So I have the timers set to water every day, knowing that it's only on when we want it to be on. Hence, everything downstream of the water hydrant is on all the time, and we'll water at the times that we want. All we have to do is walk over here. The first set is set to come on at 9 a.m. The last set will go off at 1 p.m. So we just need to remember to turn it on before 10 a.m. and turn it off anytime after 1 p.m. Which during fruit season, we're down here every morning and every night picking. So that is no inconvenience, and it gives us that safety blanket of not having some critter ruin our day. So that's it for this video, even though we've got a little bit more work to do.